Initiating. Initiating. Machine learning. Executing. Executing. Executing.
I call not
Who's going to
hosting.
introduce the show?
I call not introducing.
I kind of did it last time, so nose goes.
Oh, I thought I kind of did it last time, so we'll do it again.
Nope.
I mean, I can. Okay, wait. I can say the name of the show. Hey, everyone, welcome to our third, not annual, live machine learning. Machine learning, a pod about the machine from Pod Against the Machine, the only podcast with a 25-word supplementary podcast title. Fell off there. What's the
Only
end of that?
podcast with a supplementary podcast with a 25-word.
You were doing so well.
Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
it.
almost got it.
Almost got a Sky Medal for that.
Whiffed. What? Come on.
Would have
Can I
been
get
a-
a half sky.
Available in episode when you totally will need it. But we're not talking about episode. We're talking about episode 61.
61.
61.
61.
Sounds
Yep.
right. All those
Episode
years ago.
61. Do the smite thing.
Do the smite thing.
We ended our last one on the Kira battle, and then as an immediate consequence, consolation prize, we were brought before Hellion. This is our first time seeing Hellion, I believe, in this ep. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was indeed.
We've literally never seen that guy ever. I can't. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is not the time.
Yeah, no, it is 2 episodes from this that you remind Hellion that you have not seen his feet, and then Hellion reminds you that it is a reciprocal relationship. Plugs his OnlyFans, of course.
Snatch.
But yeah, no. So in this episode, of course, like we immediately were brought to under the arena. We were confronted with Hellion, and then believe he confused Kira right off.
Oh, right. Just immediately. That's right. This is what I've memorialized in my mind as the Kira sad eps. Just we went straight into an arena battle. I got knocked out again in that second arena battle. Mild spoiler alert, since we haven't actually said that part yet. And then immediately confused. And I think that, well, that's coming up. It just, rough couple eps.
Now, to be fair, you were all very mean to the divine being first, and then he did hit you with the
greasy smite.
Yeah, the greasy smite, unholy blade. There we go. I could only remember it for its cloying, greasy darkness.
Yeah, I do remember the cloying. Just the word cloying is always upsetting, which I guess is its intention. Were we mean, though? I feel like we kind of met his energy.
You kind of expect him to be mean on account of, giant demon in a TV. But
Yeah,
then,
and so we just spoke to him in his own language. That's what you're supposed
no,
to do.
you were all
to
really
be welcoming.
mean and made him feel bad.
Yeah.
He could have been an ally.
Agree to disagree.
So, question for you, Sam. How hard was it to try to maintain that Hellion could be a demon or anything other than what he is to us? Is there a lot of guidance in the book? Did you feel like you really had to emphasize that we could be facing an actual demon? Because we at one point were polled on machine learning about what we thought Hellion was, and at that point, none of us had actually said what he was, because you've done a good job. So I kind of just wanted to see your process on that a little bit.
In the book, basically the only thing they say about that, well, they do say it's supposed to be mysterious, as you don't really know what he is. The other thing in the book it says is at some point the players should figure it out. Which, they give you a lot of leeway as to how that is. And as you get more and more information, and I feel like one of the first real tip-offs you get is that he's in the TV. And you see this stock image demon guy. He's straight up out of iStock photo. And that's just a picture that he chose for himself. He photoshopped it, or
And just imagine him Googling.
yeah, he Googled demon.
Scary demon robot.
Yeah, he didn't even have Mid-Journey, which is the
I
sad
was
thing,
about to
because he
say.
could have done better.
Dang. I mean, if you had told us that before we bullied him, like, maybe it would have felt different.
Well, if you could just toss him $10 for a basic license.
Oh, buddy, I'm already considering upgrading. I cannot spare the 10 for you.
But yeah, the other kind of interesting side of that was this was the first time we ran into the conundrum that you have when you have a big smashing friend like Kira, which is will saves. It's dangerous for everybody, but as evidenced by how ineffectual Brix was against everyone except for himself when he also got confused, it's really just the person that smashed themselves for full damage multiple times, Kira, to
Right
be
in the
afraid
face.
of.
Which I still think I hold is better than smashing any of... I mean, the party was, let's say, less squishy at the time, but still, had she been too close to Brix or Asher, it would have been all over. Here at least has enough. Well, although after that battle, no. Slightly fewer points. Just, again, as we've established, Kira's sad arc. And when I say arc, it's more like a upside-down parabola. A U.
And that reminded me of those 4 stadium attendants that came in to check on us immediately after that. And we had to keep convincing them that we weren't there to fight while also trying to keep them away from the confused Kira.
Well, it's funny how that worked out because, like, I mapped out how far away Kalgara was and how many turns and move actions it would take her to open all the doors and walk all that distance. And I was like, this is going to take forever. But, like, Hellion would pop up on the TV in her office and be like, hey, go deal with this. And she was like, oh, fine, whatever. And then she would go and walk up. So I had those guys basically instructed by Hellion to stall. And I had
Flawless, yeah.
I had the 2 ogres who were I think one of them even told you they were stalling.
Asher diplomatized it out of
It
them.
was sure did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then when Kalgara showed up, which was cool as heck because we also got to see the chainsword at that time, she nat 20'd 2 glitter dusts in a row, proceeded to just covered in glitter walk out into the middle of the arena and give us a pretty stark choice.
You basically gave her pyrotechnics.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you all how that came off because I was pretty convinced that the no-selling of just like walking through, I think Vargas had attacks of opportunity and he was just like punching at her and she just kept walking like it didn't even matter.
It was,
She
Yes.
overran him.
Oh,
Did
yeah, she
override
went way-
and knocked
right
me
through.
down. And then I got an AOO on the ground,
Oh.
rolled it, hit her, and you had her just like ignore it and keep going.
It's giving like she studied all the performance combat rules and nailed them.
Yeah.
Like I was reluctantly impressed, which at the time just felt angry.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, with time passed, I can be like, fine, whatever.
She was really going for the Undertaker, like after he sits up, kind of no-sell everything.
Yeah.
That was the vibe I was going.
Well, and
So does that make that whiny little orc cleric pallbearer?
Yes.
yeah. You mean Malachi?
Yeah, Malachi.
Malachi.
Understudy. But yeah, no, I mean, I similarly feel like it would have been really anticlimactic if she walked out and was like, oof, ouch, my eye.
Ow, 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 ow.
Right? Like, it definitely needed to go that way. And, like, I do like when
Yeah.
that does, like, being on the receiving end of 20s for, like, the perfect narrative arc is great, but also acknowledging that sometimes, yeah, that tells the right story. But man, did that suck when you're like, you can't aggro your way out of this because I have a hostage.
It's like Sam knew.
Well, they had the advantage of having a network of TVs through which they could communicate with one
Yeah.
another.
And they also had Barry Allen on speed dial to grab Dinvaya out of the crowd, beat her up, and tie her up in the 2 minutes that we were.
No, she walked over with all of you, and then she
Classic
just
Barry.
didn't come in.
Was she just standing outside?
Yeah, she just waited outside like a dum-dum.
She's like, this is fine here.
I'm not gonna go in with them and maybe heal Kira or anything like that.
It's the same again. Vibes are when you're arriving to like a Brooklyn Cyclones game on a Friday night and you see all the teenagers' moms dropping them off. You know.
And then the moms get kidnapped by a troll.
And then the moms get kidnapped. Yeah. Oh, God.
All of the collective moms.
Yeah, Coney Island these days is wild.
So we
like rescued her. It's fine.
Yeah,
well,
we
I guess
did.
there was some other stuff happened first.
Well, we surrender her for the evening, I believe, as
Not
collateral.
willingly.
Yeah, we allowed them to keep
We were
her.
bummed.
I think we tried to talk them out. Did we try it with like an actual diplomacy rolls, or did we just talk to them?
I'm not
Bricks.
It's been a while since I've listened to it.
That was like Brix's only contribution. He talked late in, I remember, and was just like, and Vargas did too. Both really tried to evoke the like warrior code of honor thing. That's like, we're gonna be here.
Yes, that's right.
to
Because
mess you
Vargas
up.
like called her a coward for having a hostage. I forgot about that.
Totally.
Because that's right. That's how we arranged the second arena fight. Was by him saying like, "Let us out, and we'll come back tomorrow and fight you fair and square," bluffing out of his hind quarters, PG-13 pod, bluffing out of his butt because we would not have won a fight then and there.
Yeah, tactically, that was definitely a bad decision for them. They would have housed you, but, you know,
Yeah.
they wanted everybody to see you getting executed.
Yeah. And I kind of played into that. Like, he was like, oh, okay, if you really want to show up, like, fight us in the arena 4-on-4 tomorrow, aka after we've all healed and got our spells back.
Well, yeah, and I think that was like kind of an important part of what we acknowledged was what passed for leadership by the Lords of Rust, because it's like a tenuous position.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the Thunderdome, right? Of course, like copyright, whatever. But I mean, this is the Master Blaster situation. These are the people that had basically won their station via combat. So, like, it definitely had to go down this way. And it would have been pretty lame if they had totally housed us after that battle. Again, kind of in serving narrative. They would have TPK'd us. Like, we would have died. They would have killed Dinvanya. Yeah, whatever her name is. We have a new cleric now. I don't need to worry about this.
So I guess then moving on, that was just about all of that. We kind of slunk back to Dinvaya's house without her, broke in, slept on her bed.
We didn't actually that time.
Yeah.
I think we by
of
we I mean
respect.
Kira like was like out of respect is like yeah.
Yeah, didn't sleep on her bed. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's true.
Good for us.
And then that led us into episode 62, Laser Sunday, which was us getting all buffed up and heading back to the hilariously large arena where our team had a long-range energy weapon and theirs didn't. And that ended up being pretty helpful.
It worked out well.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more competitive than it wound up being, but that 110-foot range on that laser rifle.
And Jep's amazing rolling on that, too, for the numbers. I don't think... Did he misfire once with that thing? Or not misfire, like
I don't think
whatever
he
you
did.
call it. The
Glitch. It's called glitching.
glitch,
Yeah, I don't think he ever glitched.
Yeah, he emptied the clip on that thing without glitching.
Which, I mean, that's what I was going to bring up. That was one of the first inclusions of Time Worn rolling, active rolling for a while. Because we have a lot of Time Worn stuff, but most of our Time Worn stuff, if I remember the rules vaguely, fall into the category of it needs to be rolled on like if it's activated for the first time in a really long time. And then maybe some other conditions, like maybe last charge on the battery or something.
Yeah.
But like this... weapons function
that
differently.
had to go every shot. Yeah.
No, with a weapon, it's first time it's fired, last charge on the battery, and then any time you roll a 1, it's an automatic glitch.
Oh, was that it? Okay, so maybe that's why he didn't have as many.
Yeah, so it's not every
okay.
roll.
For some reason, I was misremembering that he was rolling every time like we do for the health guns.
No, but he emptied the clip, so, I mean, he rolled twice, I
At least
guess.
twice. Yeah.
While he did get the grip point on Kolgara, he did not get the "I'm gonna kill you and take your chainsaw" point. Someone else got that point.
Although I'm pretty sure Kira went down before Kolgara died, but no, it's not true. Actually, that's
You went down canonically hugging your chainsaw.
cradling the chainsaw. Yes,
Yeah.
as one does. Beautiful.
Mission accomplished.
It wasn't quite the vengeance that I wanted, but you know what? I'd take it. God, and that was this also the one where or was it our last arena battle where like Kolgara came in just denouncing stickers like some sort of monster?
Last thing she said actually was, "Stickers are still stupid." Ah. And
Horrible.
yeah,
Truly a monster.
true. Sam, you're talking.
That's why
was-
the chainsaw is now completely covered in stickers.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was how you
head
knew
to
she
toe.
was beyond redemption.
Is it? Any redemption arc she might have had. It's Apple's same rule as like, hey, no bad guys can hold our phones. It's like only good guys get the stickers. So we won. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took out her. We took out what was the troll's name again?
Hellscar.
The-
Hellskarg. Yes.
yes.
Took out Hellskarg finally. Took out 2 randos that Sam had to stick in because we pre-killed the ogres.
Love a pre-kill.
It wasn't very nice.
Good. Yeah, it was good.
Now, were those guys like existing like mook guys that you were able to just move in there, or did you have to roll up characters?
No, there was a set number of those acolytes of Hellion, which were just like level 1 clerics. They were, I mean, basically
Yeah.
nothing fellas, but they tossed them in there. I thought about putting in a person or two that appears later, and I was like, that would be too mean, and only like a book 3 Sam would do that.
Like the character that we run into later that's a bit of a head case, that character.
I considered
You know.
something like that, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. That would have been brutal having that character, the troll, and Kolgara all in one fight.
Yeah, that's a lot. Thanks, Sam.
Or even doing Nalakai, have him come out as one of the 4. But instead...
Oh, yeah, and have him buffing them. Yeah, that would have been nasty, too. Because I'm assuming, as a cleric, he could have buffed.
Yeah, he
Where
could've.
did Malachi go? Because we did, you know.
Next step.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
so we house them in
That's
this
how you
set.
mocked him.
And it is pretty cool. Brixby at the end lets off a fireball to kill like a CR1 Mook to really solidify. Like
Yeah.
Jeff and
As he's retreating, if I remember.
yeah, and he's not here, but I remember Jeff in the moment was like, "This is a waste of a spell." But Brixby's thought process behind this was, we just ended the Lords of Rust in the most performative way possible.
And
So
basically fireworks.
Yeah, you were doing it for the audience.
I was doing it for the audience. Oh, and that was his first time to cast it. Let's also remember this is the first battle with haste. This is another reason that we absolutely housed them. And that's not like because the team was the one that ponied up the money to pay for that. And again, Commodore about arcane tricksters and having to buy spells. It sucks. But like haste was a good investment that this party spent money on. And
Oh
I
my
will
God.
always give,
I will-
yeah.
I'll buy a haste every day. So that was good. That was satisfying. We won. Little time for celebration, as I recall, as we were pretty much like, hey, let's go get Invia.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time for fanfare.
When we sprinted in to save Invia. I assume doing that thing that they do in action movies of where you walk away slow motion from a fireball. That's canon in my head.
Speaking of head, though, didn't we take a beat to indulge Vargas before we actually rescued
Yeah.
Dinvaya?
Yeah, Giant Vargas, who had cast enlarged person on himself during that fight
Right,
because he
that's
thought
right.
he would go toe to toe with the troll, and then she died before he could get within 20 feet of her. He made good on a promise he had given Kolgara the day before when, like I said, he was trash talking her, and said he would cut her head off and put it on a spike. And no spikes being available, he hung it from Jimmy Fame's announcer booth.
Beautiful. Beautiful callback.
Yeah, from the recently erected memorial statue for the Dippin' Dots employee that died the week prior. You just, in the best taste possible, just put the head right on there.
It's in scrap while you pay respects by, using someone else's decapitated skull. Pop that right on top.
That's the equivalent of the F in the chat.
F in the chat. F's in the chat. Skulls on the Dippin' Dots. Head on the spike.
So yeah, you all went back inside under the arena kind of dungeony ruin business and found the one thing that the Lords of Rust hadn't lied about, which is where they kept Invia, in the room basically right there. They didn't make you go downstairs, but of course Nalakai was waiting for you, and he was the understudy of the book 1 boss, so you knew that he was absolutely gonna destroy all of you.
Yikes.
By himself.
That was a solid moment, just calling him out for what he was. It was irritating, right? At least, again, thinking from my character's perspective, who's like, we just did this whole thing. I came down here to rescue my friend, and now this guy is standing here telling us again how great his boss with, like, no visible feet is. Like, I can't do this again. Like, you keep telling me you love this TV show and have given me no evidence to why it's great. Like, and so I think that it worked out really well, and, thanks, like Brixby caught on to the joke pretty quickly, and we went in on the understudy. Which, like, okay, as I do have to say separately, I do respect the understudy, the swing. In any case, like, often so great. If you haven't seen Funny Girl yet, until for the next like week and a half, the former understudy is playing as the funny girl. Fanny Bryce, that's her name. I was like, what is her name? Fantastic, great job. Anyway, back to the pod.
Yeah, no, real life understudies are awesome people.
Fantastic work.
Nalakai was a dick.
Yeah, that's his fault.
Yeah, there was a lot of stall tactic going on in the whole area because we went back down and he just kind of stalled again, and then like Homer Simpson into the back room, into the bush. Just he's like, I'll get her, and then just started trying to buff himself. Before we absolutely...
Yeah, I think we walked in on him attempting to cast buff spells on him.
Sure was.
I rebuilt him as a war priest before this episode, basically because I knew that he was just going to get chewed to bits, and you had already fought a bunch of low-level clerics. I was like, maybe if he can buff himself a little bit, he'll be a little less terrible, and at least his gauntlet will do 1d6. It didn't matter.
Yeah. I could taste the flavor of the fervor, though.
I do love the way you played him, though, where, like, it was super obvious that he was completely terrified of us, but didn't want to say it.
Oh, he 100% knew that he was going to lose.
Yeah.
But I feel like we kind of gave him a chance. We're like, you don't have to do this, my guy. Just go home. And he was like, oh, Lords of Rust.
Yeah, no, we gave him multiple chances. We're like, just point to the door she's behind and leave.
We will
He's
literally
like,
not touch
I'll go
you.
with you.
Well, what are you going to do? Blind obeisance.
Which, this all happened during Scorchy Doodles for Yoodles, was the Malachi episode, which that is another amazing name. I love looking back through this list of episode names.
It's getting tougher and tougher for me to be like, whenever we have a -Y and Doodles episode, I'm like, was that Sam or Zach first? Who's to say? Did Sam say it and Zach doubled down? Did Zach say it and Sam doubled down?
I think this was the episode where Zach gave birth to the oodles or the doodles.
Oh, for sure.
There were oodles of oodles prior to this episode. This was, there was I believe it was swift action, bring out the wand so I can send some scorchy doodles to oodles or something this way. But it was stupid.
Yeah.
And as the pod does, we enshrine our stupidity forever. Yes.
Let's capitalize on that. But it worked out, again, we lived, we got Dinvaya back eventually.
Mm-hmm. We got her back to a place where she could use a holy symbol to heal us, which is the most important thing.
That's why she existed.
Yep. Absolutely. Only narrative inclusion there. After Kolgara had defaced her previous one.
That's true. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because Kolgara was wearing it, wasn't she? She had turned it into a Hellion thing and was wearing it when we fought her.
Which is so rude, but also kind of ballsy. Mm-hmm. I've got mixed feelings on that one.
Especially in a world where the gods demonstrably exist.
Right, they're there.
But when you think that you have an actual god just living in your basement, though, I mean,
yeah.
Okay, but I keep coming back to this, maybe he's one of those uniquely humble gods who's like, hey, I'm just, serving the people, man, living in a basement. But, you could also do better than basement, right? Basement and having other people running your errands. Basement and having other people running your errands badly. Basement and having a literal teenager and a decrepit old man coming to like take all of your
Basically
stuff.
dead.
Basically dead. And then, a capable rat and a cowboy.
I mean, literally no spoilers, but there was some far down the line plan to change his digs, as it were. I believe that was pretty cool.
Well, and that's another thing, like, Colgara, it was heavily implied that she'd seen the real Hellion, because in the episode where we rescued Dinvaya, she made mention to seeing what he really looked like and that it wasn't what was on the TV. So, like, even if she did believe he was divine, to deface a symbol of Bry, this is a world where people are regularly struck down by gods for doing this. Even if she thinks Hellion is like an up-and-coming god, like, she has to realize Bry has got to be way older and way stronger. Like, that was still a really ballsy move.
Definitely, but you have, like, just in the abyss, right? You have, like, things that crawl up to become nascent demon lords and then become demon lords, and, like, the crazy cultists that follow them and push them.
What's her name? What's the mother of monsters goddess?
Lamashtu.
Yeah, she became a god because she just killed a god and took his powers.
Yeah.
Like, people can occasionally do stuff like that.
She had a feud going with another demon lord, and then she's like, now I'm a god. What are you going to do? Chump.
Yeah.
Like, T'Chachki or whatever his name is, the one who's the frost giant, literally stole his demon lord status from Sithud, which he made a, like, nascent demon lord, the icy death guy. The, like, basically White Walkers, but not White Walkers demon lord. But yeah, we sure housed and brought our cleric back. And that was pretty much the end of that ep. We ended on the really good decision to just all pass out in a pile with those little, like, sleep masks on, really obscuring our vision. Earplugs in.
Yeah.
Everybody was really tired.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, it's not like we just killed Colgara. It's not like they're going to send a bunch of Darklands assassins to attack us in the middle of the night or anything.
Like, why would they even do that?
And I mean, we did actually talk about this, and I remember we kind of made this as, like, a story decision. I remember making this decision at one point, and I was just like, we were all so tired.
Well, and I think the reason those guys attacked us were because we made that decision. Then Sam flipped through the book until he found something that would punish us for that decision.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, it was good foreshadowing otherwise, if that's the case.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure those guys existed. Actually, Sam is here to ask him. So was them attacking us in the cathedral something that happens in the book? Like, is that an option, or do you normally, like, fight them down in the underground?
They don't really get any agency in the book. They're just kind of an off mention, like, these guys are here too. They work for Hellion because they work for such and such. That's not, we haven't gotten into yet.
So was it your decision then that after all of us said, well, there's no way they're going to send somebody right after we killed all their entire leadership, was that what made you decide a bunch of people after us?
I'm not sure when exactly I made the decision, but I'm thinking, like, logically speaking, from Hellion's perspective, he just lost, like, so much of his power, and he has seen by this point that brute force just isn't working on these people. So the next option that he has is to sneak up on you, and, like, they've seen Dinvaya, they know where she lives, so they pretty much know where you guys are sleeping, and they have effective assassins. So it's sort of taking what the book has, and, like, I love to keep the pieces moving. Like, just because the book says, like, these people are here doesn't mean that they're staying there. Like, you guys do something that's gonna affect how everything is moving throughout the thing. So
yeah, they don't just exist in a vacuum.
Yeah, he was scared, and, you know, he's a god, but he was scared of these people who killed Colgara, who was up to that point the strongest mortal that he'd ever encountered.
And as far as he knows, we killed Meonda too.
Yeah, he absolutely thinks you killed Meonda. He doesn't know.
Yeah, because that's what we told everybody in Scrapwall.
You bluffed that specifically, but you rolled high even with your -2 or whatever. But, you know, you were right, Sam. when you said that the brute force was not working on the very capable 4, but status effects were, and boy, did they. That was a fun and timely episode because in the world of podcasting, the conversation about how to dispel darkness was kind of percolating on another podcast.
That was a fun coincidence.
Yeah, amazing timing for that recording.
But it was really, really interesting because, I mean, you know, it's just like when I re-listen to EPs, one thing that I usually like to remember is like, okay, wow, so that is when like we really realized that charm compulsion spells that target the will save could turn Kira against us. Most of us know that that's like a common-ish trope with kind of the lower will like Marshall, but like also recognizing that we were completely screwed in magically created darkness. I can't sneak attack anything that has concealment. There's that. Thoughts?
It was not great. Vargas does not even have regular dark vision like Brixby does, let alone the ability to see in magical darkness. It was not great. Even with 3 people whose races give them dark vision, the magical darkness does not, it don't care unless you got, not, I keep wanting to say deeper darkness, but that's to make the darkness. I'm trying to think of what it's called, the vision, ability to see in dark.
See in darkness.
Yeah.
It's just called see in darkness?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was able to roll for bad feelings and kill a guy. Although I did blind all my friends, so that was a kind of a bummer. Sorry,
And
team.
that was such a fun irony because I believe we talked about this in the setup. I can't remember, but like the death throws that.
No, because I mentioned like, what if one of them is like painting something on a ladder and falls?
Definitely.
Suddenly he blinds
Yikes.
everybody else at the construction site and they all die too.
Exactly. So that was kind of a fun equilibrium there. But man, I mean, I believe that episode was in fact called Death Throws Are the Best Throws. And that's a lie.
Yes, it is.
That's a patent lie.
Well, what throws
You've
are
never
better?
seen a sport.
The throws of passion, Sam.
No, well, okay. I was gonna say like an average like couch throw.
Oh yeah, no, that's a decorative throw.
Those things are so comfortable. Are you kidding me?
The first throw at
A sports game.
a sports game that involves throwing. Those are good. Those are throws right there.
Sports.
Yes, the old
We love a
sports throw.
Go sports.
Yeah.
Go sports throwers.
Yeah. You know, the president steps out onto the soccer pitch and gives the sports ball throw.
And just hurls it right on in there, and they say, "Mr. President, Madam President, person President," because we don't know your pronouns. That's not how you play soccer. And the president's like, "Have you ever heard of that thing of where the thing goes off?" It's like, I used to play soccer, but I don't remember the rules. So
I learned everything I know
Cut all
about
this
soccer
out.
from Ted Lasso.
apparently, I should be watching Ted Lasso and Severance.
Ah,
Ooh,
yes.
remember Bend It Like Beckham? God, the drama of her having to run around those field things and him being like, "Hey, you don't have to run anymore," and she was like, "Oh, I've injured myself."
Not seen that movie in like 15 years.
No, me neither, but it sticks with you. Or it stuck
So
with me.
that we didn't unfortunately play indoor footy with the Dark Creeper and Dark Stalker. I believe that was our first.
No.
Also, like we both, right? There were 2 there. There was the
Yeah, you got like 3
Yeah.
creepers, which are just little like CR1 babies, and then one stalker who's like a CR4. So like, as fights go, Pathfinder would have you believe that this fight was much, much, much easier than even Kalgara by herself. But it gave you a lot of trouble because nobody could see.
totally.
And he escaped, didn't he, the stalker?
I thought he tried to, and then we made him into a sconce.
Yeah, that'd be
We
Yempoke.
sconced him.
That would be that again in our deeply carceral aesthetic,
Oh, that's right, because we captured him and made Sam do a voice. I
and then we
forgot
put
about
him in a
that.
closet
That's right. It was
and scene.
put him in a closet.
Yes, that's right. We locked him in the closet.
We truly thanked Invia in the best way we knew how. We gave her a hostage.
Don't open that closet.
And I don't think we let him out And I don't want to spoil anything that may have happened after this.
You are.
But I'm pretty sure he stayed in that closet for at least 3 or 4 in-game days with no food.
He was there for a while.
I'm not going to say the event that we finally decided to let him out for, but I want to say it was at least 3 or 4 in-game days later.
It was some time, but we will get to that in a future
Don't worry about
recap.
it.
But that is the end of this ep. Does anybody have anything else they wanted to reflect on aside from the fact that we got completely housed and Kingsley kind of saved our bacon there too? That's a really
That's right. I forgot about it. Yeah. Kingsley's perception is much higher than Kira's. Kingsley is forever improving.
and we were lucky he was
lives.
a tiny and not a large because that made him nocturnal because he was a little baby. If he was a big old scorpion, he'd be like, I'm diurnal, I'm asleep, with a better voice.
That's exactly, yeah.
That's what he
I
sounds
think
like.
he's canonically from Long Island.
Yeah, does Kingsley know tongues? We need to make a Kingsley voice.
I was under the assumption that was a Sam thing, just from what I knew of listening to other Pathfinder podcasts, which is just the one. All
Interesting.
scorpions are from Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Howie
Oh,
the green.
God, that's
the
right.
green sting scorpion.
Yeah, the Howie.
Well, excellent recap.
Hi guys, Sam here from Dungeon Dive Bar. You may have heard me on my show, Dungeon Dive Bar, or on the very first Brian as totally normal human Albert. Today I'm here to talk about Extra Life. This year for Extra Life, we at Dungeon Dive Bar are doing what we affectionately call Adventure Paths Done Quick. We are going to do a speedrun of the Paizo Adventure Path Giant Slayer. This choice was because we, the cast, all met through listening to the Glass Cannon Network's flagship show, Giant Slayer, and we wanted to do a loving shout out to them for all the years of joy they provided. We're starting at 8 p.m. Central on Friday, November 4th, and we'll go all the way into November 5th for all 24 hours. We'll have several guests join us along the way, such as the fine folks at Goblins and Gays, and of course, Pod Against the Machine. You can find this on Twitter at twitter.com/bardungeon and find all the links necessary to donate and watch us play. Thanks, and we'll see you at the bar.
Are you ever truly alone?
They wouldn't shut up, and I was just so damn tired.
What would you sacrifice for quiet?
Everybody told me it was a hell of a deal.
Coming this Halloween, a Network Against the Machine special presentation.
Must have been beautiful ones.
The Story Machine.
Okay, so we are on now to the part of the program where we answer listener questions, specifically questions that are posted in our Machine Learning Questions channel in our Discord. So yeah, if you want to ask us stuff mainly about the pod is what most of the questions kind of are, yeah, feel free to stop in there and ask a question. If anyone wants to read off one of these ones now and we can all answer it, whoever wants to can.
Someone else read one while just vamp. I'm going to perform my tight 90. Okay, go ahead.
Didn't we just get one today?
Yeah, see, I also didn't have it up, so I was hoping if I let it off to somebody else, one of you guys had opened it in the meantime.
We did. And I'm just trying to remember what it was. It was about how many Iron Gods,
Yeah.
right? From Mashanani, I think is what Zach.
Mashanani gun.
Question from Machinani Gun. How many Iron Gods do you predict are in the adventure path in total? You won't know until the end, presumably, but at this point in the campaign, what do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and take a stab as the person with the least amount of Pathfinder and Starfinder lore. I've been thinking about this all afternoon because this is a brand new question. Thank you, Mashanani Guns. I'm going to say 4. assuming that like we have the intro book, we have the outro book, books 1 and 6. There's one for each book after that, and then at the end in book 6, they kind of do a Voltron thing and like merge into a single iron god to presumably take out the VC4, who of course by then has their own Voltron situation. And Vargas. the VC4 and Vargas.
What do you mean? Vargas is part of the VC4.
I mean, colloquially, sure. Yeah, that's my answer, and I don't feel like I need any follow-ups, but I guess if other people want to add their other less accurate answers, go ahead.
I also think 4. I think Hellion was 1. I think there's another one that we may or may not be hearing about from Hellion in an upcoming episode. Who knows? And I think there's another one on top of that we also hear about from Hellion that I'll admit at where we're at in the game has not been confirmed whether or not they're a god yet, but I kind of think they are one. And I'm going to guess there's another one on top of that. But I feel like more than that is probably too many. So I think there's probably going to be 4 total.
4 is a good number of gods.
I thought we were done. I thought it was just Iron God. I didn't see the S when we started this adventure path. So I've been actually in a pretty congratulatory mood recently. But I guess...
Just the last several weeks.
Man, yeah. Well, I guess if it's Iron Gods, then 2 at least. That's going to be my answer here. Maybe I'll play Price is Right, and I'll go 2, and you guys can go 4. We'll see. 2.1.
That was a 201. Sam, do you want to guess?
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I would say that the real Iron God was the friends that we made along the way.
So is that 2? Kira and Asher?
So then you're confirming that one of those ones that I was talking about might be one then?
All of them are really, if you think about it.
So, yeah, like Garrett was a friend we made along the way. I'm trying to think about
Yeah, there's Garrett and Joram and Vaya.
Sandville.
Like...
Was Sandville a friend? Sandville was your friend.
Yeah, but, you were all friends by, like, association and aiding and abetting.
Sorry, I don't want to re-machine learning, but the last I heard of Sandville, he was disparaging my character's good name.
Sandville Tret don't get respect.
Does he deserve it?
I have heard that in the streets.
Rodney Dangerfield now.
I mean, we'll give Sandville Tret the respect the second he starts doing something worthy of respect. He's a rat kidnapping
Which
drug
is going to be
addict.
tough, because,
I mean, like, what's more respect worthy than that?
That's true. God, I've told you all this, but for those who don't know, one time a rat ran over my foot, and ever since then I've thought that rats should have no respect. Sorry.
Rough. I play one. I have a tattoo of my first rat's paw.
Is it like
on my
life size?
body. It's huge.
Oh my God, of
'Cause
course
they're
you
like
do.
this
That's
big.
kind of adorable.
Yeah, if it wasn't on my ankle and would require serious contortion that is no longer afforded to a man of my advanced
Get it on
age
up there,
template.
Zach. Oh my God, wait, that's really cute.
But yeah,
oh my God,
so
I'm totally getting
yeah,
a tattoo.
that was my first tattoo. So I love rats, honestly. I mean, here's the thing: any rat owner will tell you this. You just make your peace with pee. It's kind of just but it's like all sort of parenting.
Yeah. The thing with rats, though, like I had a friend who had rats, and I could never have rats because he had one that he taught to play basketball, and it was amazing, and it would like come when he called it and everything, and then it was dead in 2 years. I don't think I could have something that's as smart and as friendly as a dog that has such a short life. Like it's too sad.
You basically described
Yeah.
why my partner and I don't keep rats anymore. We had 2 together as well, but yeah, the average
gosh.
lifespan is anywhere from 2 to
Yeah.
5 years. Very
That's
rarely do they
wild.
live longer, and they are intelligent and emotionally empathetic, and
Yeah, that thing was smart as a whip. I mean, it was as smart as any dog I've ever seen.
yeah, they're
Like-
fantastic creatures.
As soon as we can figure out how to breed some kind of genetic monster of a rat that lives like 20 years,
Long lasting.
A rat
can
that
see
never dies.
no problems with this at all.
Well, what you do is
certainly.
you get a Zill.
Oh God.
I mean, if we can breed a rat with a human ear on it, I feel like we can make one that can live for 15 years. It shouldn't be too hard. Get on it, science.
Machine learning brought to you by
Well, if you get
Long-living
like
rats.
the ooze and dump it in the sewer.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then, like a rat that used to
You have sort of a
work for a sensei of...
what is
Splinter,
his name?
Ivan,
Splinter.
Ivan,
Scratcher.
Okay.
Splinter,
We were
that's
talking.
it.
We were discussing ooze as well, and I wasn't sure if we were discussing its
Oh yeah.
secrets or not.
No, it was a Ninja Turtles reference.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a belabored one.
Or if you're going by the 80s cartoon, Splinter was just a dude who turned into a rat for some reason in the 80s cartoon, which
Yes.
never made much sense.
Classic 80s.
Every other version of the character just is a rat.
I was just going to thank Mash and Nanny Gun for that excellent question and their responsiveness to our call, because we just throw it out there and we want it to come back. Yeah, you
It
came
came
in.
in quick.
Yeah, that one came in today from us asking, hey, if you guys got more questions, give them to us.
Okay, I'm ready this time with another question from Captain Collateral Damage. How much time does it take between Sam declaring they're going to bed and him actually going to bed? Which actually came at a pretty, because I think when they asked that question, that was the first time we had gone through our full backlog because of various pandemic and job reasonings. So that was an uncomfortable question because we're like, ooh, like 3 weeks because we need to wait for everyone to be able to speak again. But normally, I would say, like, we average, 2 weeks? Wait, unless this is one of those pod secrets we're not supposed to tell, in which case I have to ask everyone who's listening live to say JK and say we record Tuesday nights and get them out Wednesdays.
I think you're conflating two questions here.
Oh, yeah. Because there is one, how long...
Am I?
Yeah, there is one, how long does it take to get made, and one, how long does it take for Sam to actually go to bed?
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Crazy Piano Man. Stepped on all your good questioning. Captain Cloud Damage, get out of here, you.
Well, we can do the
I mean, I'd like
Yeah.
answers to both
same
of these.
Well, we can get both. We can get both in.
So, Crazy Piano Man's question, as has been hinted at, not sure if this has been asked, but how much time does it take between Sam going to bed and a recording becoming a ready-to-upload, fully edited episode? So we got both of those questions on the table.
Which, as Izzy said, usually about 2 weeks.
Yeah, we try and have a responsible backlog there. We're generally pretty good at it. As we've recently learned, the summer can really mess that up, as can pandemics. Yeah, for those of you perhaps new to podcasting, it is like very difficult to record a podcast with COVID. Like, soup's tough. A lot of coughing, you have to edit out, you can't breathe.
What do we had? 3 out of 5 COVID cases?
We now have more.
I
was
was literally thinking about
more
this
members
last
of
night.
the cast have had it than have not had it at
We
this
are
point now.
we a solid representation, perhaps, of the U.S. Slightly ahead of times. We're at 60% positive thing. We hope that the two of you without COVID stay clean and pure forever.
Don't
but
leave your houses.
One of you lives in Florida, so that seems unlikely.
Just don't go outside.
Well, yeah, but I've been working with the public, having people sneeze on me for the last 2 years. I'm apparently immune at this point. I don't know.
That is impressive. Yeah, and the other one of us had a child. I have no excuse. I was on a plane. Might be.
I also took multiple plane rides, including one that was like 5 hours across the country with
Impressive.
people coughing on me.
I feel like it depends on where you go.
I'm pretty sure I'm just immune to it at this point.
I went to South Carolina, and those people just breathed
Never
in my
mistake a
face.
series of rolling nat 20s for your fortitude save as being immune to something, my friend.
I was like, Kira's fort save is much higher than Izzy's. So yeah, 2-ish weeks depending on how much of a backlog we have. How much time does it take? And this is
It also very much depends on who's editing, because there are some among us who can crank through one of those in a...
Like to show off and get an episode done in 20 minutes.
the Sams and the Zacks of among
the
us.
Sams do it in like 20-minute chunks every day for like 2 weeks.
Oh, that's also the Jerome method, which is the reason that while this episode is currently being recorded, only 2 days after the previous machine learning was finally finished, and actually it's not even totally finished because I still have to put a little middle section in. But yeah, that took about 3 weeks to edit after starting editing it, which didn't happen until like a week after it was recorded.
It is. We do have a wide variety here. So some of us, like to start early, and some of us, the Izzies among the cast, will say, get an episode out at Tuesday at 8 p.m. and be like, hey, can anyone listen to this? Thank God the Izzies among us have supportive cast members who are like, yeah, we'll support you and your procrastination, because otherwise we would have no show.
And we're pretty consistent with the actual uploading and scheduling of publishing of the episode being on Tuesday night before it comes out.
Oh yeah, Tuesday nights is Patum nights.
Often,
now.
like when we're recording,
nice.
like in the break between two episodes, I will upload the episode that's supposed to come out mere hours later.
Again, Sam only has to do that when I'm the one editing.
No, everyone.
Everyone. I've done it to him multiple times. Sam is a saint for keeping that cadence regular. And
Woo.
I would also say that that's something that makes our podcast kind of unique is that most podcasts, well, I don't know, actually, write in. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Right in.
Cunningham
Text us.
Law. Someone will absolutely correct me on Discord. But most podcasts that at least I listen to have a dedicated editor in the group.
Yeah. All the ones I can think of that I know who the editor is have a dedicated editor. Like, there's plenty that I don't know who edits them, but of all the ones that I do know who edits them, which in this case is HLP, GCP, To Have and To Roll, and Southern Tomfoolery, all have dedicated editors.
Find the Path has...
Yeah, Find the Path is Rick.
Rick does everything.
Dimension Door, I think James or Zach does everything on Dimension Door.
Is it like James for one and Zach for the other?
I think so, because I mean, like Zach makes all the music, and then James, I think, does a lot of the editing. But I'm totally
Right in.
yeah. Sorry if I'm overshadowing other people's editing duties on a podcast that I just listened to. But yeah, no, I think that's an interesting thing for us. And I mean, I'm always interested in hearing if people could actually tell the difference, because overall,
I feel like, well,
yeah, I don't know if people can. I mean, like, we try to do continuity with music. We sometimes have different stylistic choices, but like,
I have edited exactly one episode of the main show, and I bet you that people who listen to machine learning would be able to pick it out, because there was a scene where everybody was just sitting around talking, so I used the background music I always use for machine learning for that scene.
that's what you gotta do.
I mean, I think that, and it's hard to say this for sure, but I think that each of us has our own editing sort of style, in that, like, coming in blind, if I listen to an episode, I think I could tell you who edited it.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun game. First person to guess 5 episodes in a row wins a hug.
I think Izzy's is the easiest because she always comes into the, like, beginning of the show with music, like, right out of the theme.
that is
So-
true.
Damn it.
That's immediate. Zach cuts the most,
I do.
so
Zach is
I'm
discerning.
brutal.
Zach hates levity.
and the easiest way to tell for me is the outtakes are an hour and a half long.
That's another one.
I cannot let go.
I just leave all the outtakes in. That's like most of them just stay in.
I feel like Jeff leaves a lot of outtake.
Jeff does,
Yeah.
Jeff does quite a few outtakes. My outtakes are like, I pick the funniest part and then move it to the end, but everything else I'll just leave in the episode. I'm like, this is hilarious. People should know. That, and the other thing that I forgot I was going to say, so I'm going to just read this question instead. How much time does it take between Sam declaring they're going to bed and Sam actually going to bed?
Jero, do you want to go first?
Yes, I believe that Sam goes to sleep roughly 20 minutes after we end the episode. He wrangles all of his cats together, kisses each one on the head. That takes up most of the time. He gives a quick nod to the rest of his family, not showing them anywhere near as much affection as the cats, and then lays down.
On a pile of
On a bed
cats.
of cats. That's what I was going to say.
I'd love if we just answered this the same way we answered the how many Iron Gods won and let everybody except Sam answer.
Yeah, I'll jump in next. I like to imagine that Sam goes to bed at their desk, just because I'm pretty sure Sam gets up at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So some of those, it's like 3 or 4 hours after we finish recording.
Gotta pick those night mushrooms.
Yeah. Sam steps away briefly to go pick some mushrooms in the dark from their wooded, cavernous upstate New York living. Comes back in, tosses a few mushrooms to the cats, presumably, says hello to the rest of the family, and then sleeps right there in the chair so that they can be up at a crisp 3 a.m. to do whatever they do for a real job, which I think is licking mushrooms.
Yeah, drive to go plug in a server, I think, when someone says it's totally on.
And computers. That's what I assume. Anytime I have ever gotten a computer alert, I'm like, this is probably from Sam.
I
So-
like that Sam is the guy from the tweet.
I
Why
don't.
do you hate IT? Because I had to drive 20 miles to turn a push an on button on something 3 different people told me was on.
I just want to know why you both are lying, and I'm gonna let our audience in on the
Aggressive.
what actually happened. So when Sam says I'm going to bed, he just closes his eyes. It's like Data from Star Trek or something shutting down.
Terrifying.
Sometimes he leaves them open. I don't know if it's like a dominance thing until we end the Skype call, but when he says I'm going to bed, he just goes. It's like right there. Yeah, he does.
Bares his teeth.
But
like a
then just immediately
dog.
asleep. It's just like he's in another world. Yeah, no, I mean
Truly
it's still
wild.
my answer, and one that is backed up by all of our Skype calls that I audio and video record for
Science.
posterity, of course, is Sam immediately goes to sleep. Seconds later. That's the real answer.
I had jokingly put in the Discord chat, which again, if you want to check that out, join our Discord, that it depends on whether we play a rousing game of This Is No One's Face afterward, which is, I think, partially true depending on like the intensity of the episode. We've had a couple sessions where it was like, I cannot go to sleep. Please play with me this game. And then everyone will go to thispersondoesnotexist.com and we'll throw in all the most terrifying faces as
Well, the trick is
as
you get
friends
the
do
ones that
before
have
bed.
2 faces in them because the AI only generates
gotta
the first
do,
face, so
right.
the second one is just a mash of body parts.
Which thank you, Zach. Again,
Yeah, Zach has one in the back of his webcam right now, fading in and out of existence.
Sam, did you want to answer this one? Or?
Yeah, you want to chime in on this one?
I mean, I feel like you all basically got it. I mean, I'll go to sleep just sitting where I am for hour and a half or so. Just close my eyes, sit bolt upright, and then I'll wake up probably 1:30 in the morning, go upstairs and, round up the cats, and we'll all go outside.
Pick mushrooms.
Like, I'll play a little flute so they follow me, and they pick the mushrooms for me as I sort of prance through the fields. And then we bring in the mushrooms and we put them all in the bags in the refrigerator. Then I'll go to bed on a pile of cats and sleep another 20-25 minutes and then get up for work.
A rise for the IT job.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you bolt up out of your chair if your wife doesn't throw a blanket over you like a bird cage to make sure that you know that it's nighttime. It's just like,
Go to sleep.
no, that is if there was ever a need for fan art, it is primarily Sam leading the cats in a
merry
midnight-
jaunt.
Yeah, a midnight mycelium romp.
This is all of my knowledge of non-New York City, New York State is from Sam and mushrooms. Like, I assume it's all haunted but dilapidated asylums in the forest
Yeah,
and birds.
I mean,
I have yet to be proven wrong. I've never once seen not that.
I have so many more of those things. I mean, do you all even know that I bought a ruin?
Wait, what?
I bought a collapsed house.
Is this a joke? Is this a
ago.
joke? Are you joking? You bought a
No.
collapsed house? Oh my god, let's build a Adam thing on it. Yay. It'll be haunted for sure,
Well,
but that feels theme.
It's my secret forest compound. There is at least the ghost of a foot on the property because a lumberjack years ago cut down a tree and it fell on his foot,
his poor
and he
foot.
cut off his foot to escape.
Naturally, sure. Sounds lumberjack-esque.
And he's
And
still
the foot had unfinished business, or why?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not ready to leave.
the foot is very angry.
Yeah. Have you seen anything like actually like weird and spooky in any of your trips out into the woods?
Love this spur of the moment machine learning questions.
Saw like when your kids get carried off by a Jersey Devil or something, or
And you were like, "Oh well, there goes my child."
I've seen bears. Bears aren't spooky, but they're pretty scary when they're like right
kind of
there.
bear?
black bears.
Polar
black bears.
Black
Yeah, I was gonna say it's black bears. Like
Oh,
no one cares.
Bears are
You just wave at them and
harmless.
go on about your day.
Yeah.
Oh, you honk the car
Yeah.
horn and they go, all right.
Well, I guess if you have
Never
children,
mind.
though, I could see it being scary if they're like small humans around.
Yeah, we don't have scary bears on this coast.
Okay, from Crazy Piano Man from last time. If you could adjust your theoretical personal IRL character sheet to min-max one primary and one dump stat, would you take the deal? I go through my life daily kind of counting on my charisma to carry me through because I have no other things. My whiz is terrible. My int is okay. Everything else is just awful. So I really need people to care about me as a person in order to live. So I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to a 20 and let's get rid of dex. If you were to place any sort of, what are those things that they have dogs and also Olympians run through?
Hurdles?
Obstacle course. If you really placed those before me, I would immediately die. So I'm really, really counting on it, just my personality, which I recognize as a bold statement as a person who podcasts, but it's really all that I have. That's it. My cat is pretty cute. Does that count for anything? Listen, I need people to save me. I have no IRL amazing stats, as it were. Thank you, Crazy Piano Man. Nailed it.
Let's see. We have a pretty serious question that I feel like we'd have to then ask again, but might be a good one to crack open and possibly end this on. We've had a little bit of levity. Not end this on, but at least direct. Bellandora asked us for the players. Sorry, Sam. What's the most surprising direction your PC has taken?
Interesting. As of which recording?
As of right now, 64.
64. Prizing direction. I can speak broadly enough to this that I think I won't necessarily ruin anything. And I've spoken somewhat on this before. One of my favorite parts about playing Kira is that she's just a kid. It's a very straightforward coming of age story. There have been times when I've been like, should my character have more backstory? Do I want to build in a mystery? And I'm like, no, she hasn't done anything. She's a child. There's nothing there. This is really her discovering who she is. And, without speaking too much on more recent episodes, Kira's a chaotic good character because she's never had a chance to be anything else. She's an optimistic, everyone is good. Everyone is kind. This is great. Also, a teenage blood rager. So there's the chaotic half. Having this opportunity specifically in the arena to be wait, this is a thing that I'm good at. I can fight for my friends and save them and keep them safe, and then failing at that and being uh-oh, now what? It's been a fun sort of turn. And I think getting to explore that more in the last, 30 episodes now, it was a fun time. I wouldn't necessarily say it's surprising yet. Keep your eye out for future things, but it's a lot of fun to play a character who is still changing who they are as a person by function of just being a kid, a child who is leaving their hometown for the first time and learning stuff and making friends and watching difficult and not so difficult things happen. In terms of most surprising, I think I've played her pretty straight to character so far. I would have never guessed that she'd, walk into a single combat in an arena. That was new.
Against a troll.
It's not surprising to me because I'm yeah, of course she would. Kids are dumb. It is, I think the subsequent sort of okay, well now what has been a fun exploration and continues to be, again, without alluding to more recent things. And that's the most exciting answer I can come up with. Jero, how about Vargas?
Oh, I think I have a really good one that unfortunately, as you said, is kind of a little further on. But I think a big thing of his that kind of wasn't expected was, and I feel like I kind of talked about this forever ago on another very early machine learning question, which is something like, how did your characters end up different than you imagined them type thing? That basically, when I was thinking up Vargas, I imagined him being much less interactive with the rest of the party for longer. I wasn't expecting him to open up to the rest of the party as quickly as he did, but it happened very organically. It didn't feel forced or anything for him to be part of everything and interact with everyone, helping everyone, and him kind of attempting to take Kira under his wing because he's well, here's this person that's still just a kid and is way stronger than I am. I don't want her to end up like me type thing. But him doing it in his awkward Kelid way, oh yeah, no, hey, you beat that person down, but they're still alive. Finish them off type thing. But yeah, just him being as open and friendly with the rest of the party as he was, as quickly as he was not at all something I had planned for him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to be much more standoffish for much longer, and it did not end up that way.
Well, and I mean, that kind of blends into mine, which I have kind of two. One is that exactly, which is that Brixby kind of joining the group. Brixby's intro was him burning a party. Was literally him like letting a party member
like running out.
Letting a
Yeah.
party member die
Bye.
to get answers for something that he needed. So Brixby staying with the party is one, but this ties into what Jiro is saying is like, we're also making a podcast. We're making a meta-narrative like that kind of just prevails over what it is that we do, that basically says become a cohesive unit and take on these challenges, tell this story together. Everybody who's ever GM'd knows that like, while it's good to have a kind of standoffish character, party cohesion is crucial past a certain point. Otherwise, it is just like so much energy and to push and pull. Some groups really love that internal dynamic, but it's kind of the same reason why I didn't play Brixby as too hard to get. But one of the things that really led to that and kind of has started a long path towards potential alignment change, I've been pretty open about this, is when Kira found Parda, just the nature of that and how that relates to Brixby's backstory, which I have nothing really more to share because I can't even spoil something that isn't out there yet. But yeah, this ties into Brixby's backstory and kind of, you know, maybe even if he wasn't explicit about viewing his tenure in the group as both short and towards a certain end, that really solidified it. He managed to connect individually with Kira and then Vargas and then Asher on completely different things. But I think that one salient point of Kira and Brixby talking about Parda really encouraged the change quickly. Just the, again, mirror what Jiro said, that I did not expect. He was less the rapscallion that I expected him to be.
Nice. Yeah, this is, and I've, like I said, I've already answered. I thought there were so many early moments that were great, but in terms of surprise for me personally as the player, like I had, and I've maybe discussed this before, at least I knew it was true in my head, like a whole character arc written for Kira and Parda particularly that I was like ready to introduce and like play with through, and then like episode 2, Sam was like, nope. And I remember you, Sam, and actually Zach, you messaged me too about like kind of talking through Parda's death and what it would mean to Kira. This was way back in 2020, and I didn't have a job yet after having been fired. And all I did was think about that for weeks and how if your first love as a teenager and sort of specifically for Kira figuring out she like likes this other woman, like all of those sort of like things, which frankly being very easy to pull on, it's because I was once a gay teenager and I was like, oh, I know what this is. It was just a lot of fun to like rediscover and then also immediately be like, oh no, what am I gonna do now? So having that, I don't know, it was something nice to shoot toward. Like it was, especially for someone as young as Kira is, like I said, not a lot has been done, but I like to think of Parda's death as like the birth of Kira's drawback trait, which is overprotective. And now like it hasn't come up a whole lot because she's usually on the front lines anyway, but like technically, you know, when anyone goes down with more than 10 feet from her, she's supposed to take a like that -2 penalty and all of these things, which also really tied her into the group because she found Parda with the group specifically. And I think that scene between Brixby and Kira was like meaningful for her too. And again, not to spoil, it plays into a couple of like future interactions between Kira and Brixby again, and just the way that she interacts with Brixby after comes up is like very key there, and I didn't anticipate any of it, but it's just so fun to play through. / I love a teen drama. Listen, Kira would be a shoo-in for any show on the CW tomorrow. No braggies.
Totally. And again, just Izzy and I had the pleasure of playing with fun companion podcast, not companion podcast, but excellent podcast about games on Free Radio Brooklyn with Aaron and Bree. We got to play very moody teens together, and Izzy has always amazed me at their ability to do it so quickly.
I've been a moody teen since I was 5.
You just absolutely playing We Used to Be Friends. It was just in constant awe of your ability to play your characters so well. I mean, everybody, that's a fun game too. If folks haven't played that, even if you're not a big Veronica Mars fan, you should really give it a go because it is fun as heck.
Agreed.
But I do want to include Sam. So, Sam,
We should ask Sam a question.
similarly, when you got to pull back the curtain all the way, our initial sort of entry kind of character introduction audition thingies, and then even maybe saw our characters change and coalesce a little bit in the Discord. What did you think our party was going to look like, maybe in terms of like roles and characters, and does it look a lot like how the party looks in episode 64?
He means, who were you prepared to get rid of immediately, just based on the Discord chat?
That's a really hard question. I'm trying to put myself in like the headspace of like coming into the story.
Like, did you see, for example, Asher as like the moral center? Did you see potentially like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to keep assigning roles to people in your head, but I'm just like, looking at some of the roles that we film now, some of them are dictated.
Asher is definitely like, he's also the party face too. But I guess that kind of makes sense because he's got like 60 charisma, so that's probably was easy to see.
I think like the evolution of the party into not really these sort of opposing sets of morality, but the way that all these very different ways of coping with morality and coping with very hard decisions as it's come together. I mean, I don't know that I had any specific expectations tied to each character. I mean, you have Kira approaching things as like a kid with a kind of innocent standpoint and sort of the like very much a chaotic good, but like also not experienced with like the horrors of the world yet, but she's breaking into that. And then you have on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, like Vargas has spent just like hundreds and hundreds of years in wars.
The man is ancient.
Literal eons.
It was probably older than Galarian itself.
He's 54.
And he's seen war, and he's seen, a lot of spoilery things that I can't really get into, but he has this very jaded worldview that's colored by loss and colored by victories and failure. And then you have Asher, who, he's an eternal optimist, but he's also very, very set in his paladin code, which even though he didn't at level 1 have a paladin code, but he was still like this guy who like, this is what is right. And that has really become kind of a backbone for this party who, they have a lot of doubts and they have all different perspectives. And like Brixby, I don't think Brixby came in like expecting to be a team player. Like you were saying, he didn't come in expecting to care about things the same way that these people do, because he's always sort of been like in his intro, he was like the guide for this other party. He was an outsider, but it's all sort of become an entirely different creature, if that makes sense, from any of their individual moralities, and like each of the characters flavors it. And it's been, very, as I said, like nothing I really predicted coming in, but it's been really cool to see it develop and really cool to see how you've all personified your characters and really gotten into like, what would Brixby do in this situation, faced with like, we almost were killed by this rock creature and we can't really go any farther, and like, what would Vargas do, like, and he's lost these horrible fights before, and like, then there's Asher who was unconscious the whole time, what would he do? And Kira's never been knocked out before, like when she was in all her previous fights, basically one hit and whoever was on the other end was down, but now there's a giant rock monster in her face, and it's so, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but it's all very cool how it's come together and how you've all like very much internalized and been very true to these characters and building this sort of machine that is the Very Capable Four.
It is truly wild. Like, at this point I can say, and I've been able to say this I guess for like a year or so, but as we all know, I started playing TTRPGs in 2020, and this is my longest running one, right? Like, you guys were the second game I started playing, and this is the only game I'm still playing 2 years much later, and it is wild how ridiculously attached I am to these characters. Again, no spoilers, but like a couple of the sessions we recorded in the last couple of weeks, like I know that these are fictional characters and my friends are not in trouble, but I'm still like, no, we need to murder everyone around. Like, this is the only way to save the game. Like, I don't know. You know, I fully anticipate, should maybe it happens or doesn't, who can say, I can see should a character go down, like I'd have to be like, Sam, I hate you, I'm out of the game. Like that, I just have to walk, you know, potentially.
When I have to describe this, what we do to people, I always describe it as gambling with emotional stakes. Like, that is it, 100%.
So
because, like, you know, yeah, you could step back at any point and be like, yes, I am a fictional rat on the internet. But then there's times where, like, in combat and something goes sideways and I am just gripping the side of my desk being like, okay, yep.
There'll be times when my hands are
Totally,
shaking,
right?
and I don't know how to explain that to like my mom. I was like, no, Mom, I know it's just a game on the internet with strangers I've literally never met, but I have so many emotional stakes in there. And she'd be like, you should go outside.
And Izzy touched on,
which is also true.
touched some grass, no. But Izzy touched on this before, and I think that this is maybe a universal experience, not just for the people on this pod, but people who play TTRPGs, is that sort of like electrifying post-session feeling that you get where you just like can't go to bed. You just got to like scroll through the Discord. You got to talk about it and process it with like people who are marginally interested or informed on the system that it is that you play. And like there is, yeah, it is, I don't know. It takes a lot to just kind of walk away from this emotionally and not want to just immediately turn back around and be like, I know we just talked for 3.5 hours, but you guys want to just like work it out a little bit more.
Which is why I'm so grateful I don't hate all of you, because I don't know who else I would talk to about this. The secrets. I will occasionally text Jeff's wife and be like, oh my God, no, you don't know what happened, but I need to tell someone about this because everyone else is asleep.
Yeah, there is that, you know, the double-edged sword of having this on a show is like, you know, we walk away from a session, and I'm not going to say like what session we recorded last week, but there was a particular die roll where like when, you know, I saw the number, I was like, oh my God, and I'm not going to say, you know, what happened, but
It was
It certainly wasn't excellent at all.
after that session's over, it's like, I want to talk about this so much. I want to, like, you know, get on the Discord and start talking with people about it, but at the same time, like, that episode's not out yet. It's not going to come out for a while. Like, we can talk with amongst ourselves, but at the same time, it's like everybody was there, and I got to go to bed.
And we're all
I got
angry
work
at
in
Sam.
5 hours, and everybody's mad at me. And, yeah, I'm going to wake my wife up who doesn't care at all and tell her what happened.
Kingsley, my cat, has
so,
been
you know, it's a little
regaled
bit weird.
with all of these things.
Yeah. I tell my daughter about it. She's pretty into it. So we got that going for
All
us.
right, I'll take it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at least you and Jeff have kids that like the programming.
Like, kids, I know it's midnight, but hurry, listen up.
And I gotta say, Jeff also, his wife also is a huge fan of the show.
And
So
fantastic human.
That's someone
And
to
just great person.
bore the ear off of that actually cares about it, which is nice to have.
I don't want to say bullied her into a friendship, but I text her more than most people to be like, oh my God, did you see this thing? And she'll be like, no, I have a life.
I will say when I went up at 12:15 after that episode, my daughter was still awake. So
Teens.
You gotta tell her something.
she's a monster and a teen. And
As a follow-up to that excellent, in-depth, really just, you know, inside the actor studio style like discourse we had here, I'd like to bring it to our friend Darby, who is the most viscous of the characters. And please explain why. And please explain in thorough detail for science. I'll go first. That's fine. My answer, Asher, because he is unnaturally smooth.
Hey-o. That's probably all we need to discuss. Sorry, Darbs.
Counterpoints?
oh, what about Nathan?
I was going to say Nathan.
I was also gonna say Nathan, the goo horse.
It is...
There
Again, okay, as you all know,
gooey horse.
Pod Against the Machine has been 98% of my introduction to the TTRPG world. I didn't know about this before 2020. We went into the pandemic. I started listening to Adventure Zone, and then I joined a podcast, bizarrely. So I don't know like what the percentage is for like how often people are discussing viscosity on other podcasts, but I can only assume viscosity is like a high, like 90 to 98% of all Pathfinder discussion, which is a bummer because had I known that, me and my textual issues would have stayed with literally any other game. That said, it's gotta be Garrett, right? That dude Alex Max himself under every doorway possible at all given times and just becomes sentient sludge.
Oh my god, the Secret Life of Alex Mack reference.
So good, right? 90s kids only.
The fact that you are canonizing that we've seen Garrett naked at least once is horrific to me.
No. In Alex Mack, her clothes go with her when she goes T1000.
She could go into clothes. It was a children's show, Zach.
No, okay, wasn't that like the thing the first time she was like?
Yeah, I think the first time her clothes didn't go with her.
I remember.
Yeah.
I used to.
The very first year.
Okay,
You're
yeah.
fair. You're fair. You're
Okay.
Fine.
Loved that show. Absolutely fantastic show.
yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, for the Darbies of
Yeah.
the world. Go back 20 years.
More than that.
Yeah, this is from before you were born, Darby. But if she eats curry, she gets super strength. And wasn't Jessica Alba the bad guy in an episode?
Say again?
Wasn't Jessica Alba the bad guy in an episode?
She might have been.
That's some secret world of Alex Mack.
I'm
That's secret world.
secret IMDb world.
But I will say it was also a fantastic time capsule for like Valley culture in the 1990s, because it was like a SoCal show, right? She was like in LA, right? Am I wrong? I thought that it was like a very like LA surrounding outlining area kind of aesthetic.
Jessica
show.
Alba was in fact in an episode as a character named
Solid.
Jessica,
True.
who apparently does not have a
Nice.
last name
Holy
according to IMDb. She was just a character called Jessica.
I did not realize that show was from the 1994.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Oh,
when you said 20
absolutely.
years, I'm like, no, more than that.
Yeah, I remember watching that
Wow.
on
Yeah.
Nick at the time for sure. That's a thank you for that question. Even if Izzy hates
Solid.
it.
I don't hate it. I just don't like gooey things. Stop eating foods filled with other soft foods. Don't stop. I mean, listen, I'm not one to... I can't. I'm just saying that we all acknowledge that peanut M&Ms are the superior M&M, and that's it. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I'll put my soft foods anywhere I want. You come and take it. Turn this to a Gadsden soft food flag.
God, I won't. I won't, though, is the thing. I want only crunchy textures all the time. If it doesn't hurt my mouth, I don't want
True. Got to get the flavors in from all the cuts too.
it. Thank you. Yeah, really absorb the Szechuan peppers right into the roof of my mouth.
Shall we question
That
another?
feels like a solid place. Do
or are we
you
gonna
want
cut
to do,
it?
you want to do a log
Let's
off
go
question?
for one more.
We
Yeah.
can do one more.
We can do a log off question. I feel like I have a list of questions that I keep in my head to ask when I'm available for machine learning. Sadly, I keep them in my head and not on paper, so oh well.
Let's see, what do we still have on the pinned? How about we go to a Commodore?
Love Commodore.
Have you guys discussed the overpowered natures of Kasathas / androids as PCs? If one of those two kills a character, is the player then obliged to roll an overpowered PC using that race? So I'd like to
I've always thought yes.
adapt this question slightly. Anybody thinking of any backups that are androids or Kasathas, first of all?
Possibly.
Maybe. Who can say?
No.
Actually, I
can.
think I will, because I think at the time that this episode came out, our To Having to Roll crossover had come out. And I will say that there is a character I played in that is a Kasatha who is a Gunslinger 7 Fighter 2 in that module. That is absolutely a character that is one of my backup for this game. That is, as Commodore said, hilariously broken. To the point that at level 9... she had 5 attacks around, with the first one was like at plus 18 or something. Like, they are incredibly powerful races, and putting them into certain character types, like say a character that fires crossbows that can then reload them with their extra arms, they can get a lot of mileage out of certain classes.
Gonna be honest, my only real... I do have an idea for a backup. My second idea for a backup presumably is Sage, who is canonically a ninja, so... And also presumably not a Kasatha, although, who can say? We don't know much about her except that her boyfriend is in somewhere that everyone else knows the name
We've
of.
never actually said, Sage, show me all of your hands.
We have not said that.
There's
Not
no way to
once.
know how sneaky she is.
Being you know how teenagers like to hide
They love to hide their
hands.
extra hands. Sam, you're aware. So here's my answer on this. Have I built one Android character in Hero Lab and played them? Of course, in one of our companion podcasts, real companion podcasts there. The Brian Identity. Would I actually play them in Pod Against the Machine? No, because I don't feel like I know enough about the actual lore of androids or Kasathas yet to feel like I could write an appropriate backstory for them. Because, like, maybe this is a little spoilery if you look at the date that this comes out and the pod, wherever the top pod episode number is, but like at this point, I still don't feel like I could tell you where androids came from in Galarian, or much about Kasathas or their culture, except for the much revered tradition of hiding behind a door and punching a rat in the face, which apparently is just on a DNA level. But yeah, no, I just have trouble kind of conceiving of a good story that would fit inside what I feel like a pretty thematic race for this pod or this AP. Either of them, really, right? So, but I mean, at the same time, have fun in Hero Lab. Stories should never hold you back.
And I will say, as far as like my Kasatha backup, I do know from, I don't remember if it's like Inner Sea Guide or one of those ones that's like a little companion book thing, mentioned that, like, it didn't say much about Kasatha, but it said, what it did say about them reminds me of kind of like almost like an Aboriginal type culture, where it talks about like when they hit a certain age, they kind of wander off on their own into their like desert habitat. And that was kind of my idea behind her, was basically she was taking like her test of like adulthood type thing. Like, and that's why she would be able to show up and help the party. And other than that, like, I have no idea what her life would be like back at the Kasatha thing. I'm assuming if I ever have to use her, I can just ask Sam for her details.
I mean, as far as the overpowered nature of these races goes, like, the Kasatha have the very clear advantage of 4 arms, which in Pathfinder First Edition is so huge. I can't tell you the number of builds that I've done where it's just like, if I just had a 3rd arm. It sounds like a joke, but it's real. Like, the extra arms just make the character so much more powerful, because like, there's a lot of swift action and free action economy that depends on having a free hand. And you can cram tons of extra stuff into a turn and get all these extra attacks. With the android, on the other hand, I feel like the overpowered nature is more subtle and specific in that, like, they're immune to emotion-based stuff. So it's more like if you're playing them in, say, Strange Aeons or something, where there's all this like fear and like I don't know if there's dominate person in Strange Aeons, but there's psychic stuff. Yeah, you're gonna be immune to all that stuff, and it's not gonna be fun for you as a player if just like nothing's hitting you. Basically, you don't have the same risk. But in something like Iron Gods, I feel like the risks are more physical in nature, or at least not like specifically emotional and psychic in nature, so you don't have the same overpoweredness for the android. So I mean, if you want to play an android, this is definitely the AP to play it in. But as far as the lore goes, I mean, there's probably stuff that'll come out in later episodes, probably a little,
You can say.
just a little, but who knows.
Do we feel okay with that last question?
I think that was a good...
I want to ask everyone a question just to know.
You put that pillow away.
What is your character's favorite flavor of ice cream? Sam, you can answer for Hellion. And chocolate chip. No one else has any answers. We're going to bed.
Hellion, I don't think, knows about ice cream.
Classic.
If he did find out about ice cream, he would demand all of the flavors. And he's the type of guy who like wouldn't make any effort to distinguish between them. He would just be like, no, give me a scoop of each one and I will eat them all and I will taste no difference. And that is the way ice cream is consumed when you are a god.
Yeah, I was trying to work some sort of like pun into like key lime pie by replacing lime with crime because Brixby is a crime rat.
Key crime
But at the
pie.
same time, the actual answer is probably he's kind of a pistachio guy. Maybe pistachio
God, I knew
rose
it.
water, like maybe a little bit of both. That's Brixby.
Brix is subtly that guy that you don't want to bring to like the restaurant because they're gonna be like, "Do you not have kale water here?"
It's just
Asparagus
a good
water.
flavor.
I'm sorry, how old are these ice cubes?
Much as I hate to lean into the he's old aspect of the Vargas thing, I think his flavor would also be pistachio, just because that it just makes sense for him. As much as that's like the classic, this is what old people eat flavor of ice cream. I think he would like pistachio.
And that's
It's that or
well, yeah, that's a
raisin.
deleted scene of Brixby and Vargas sharing ice cream cones in Torch on the banks of the river, watching the kids rob each other or whatever they did prior to the library. And yeah, 2 scoops, rum raisin and pistachio. You're right. Brand topping.
We love our old men and Brixby. Okay, and I feel like that is okay. Now we can send everyone to bed.
And okay, good night, Sam.
Good night, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Machine learning. Kill command received. Terminated.
It's time for listener mail.
Sorry, quick aside. I just wanted to welcome and congratulate first-time chatter, Miss BS and Doctors. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, that's definitely not me.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. No, that is first time chat or Miss BS and Doctors.
Miss BS and
And
Doctors.
we'd like to thank her very
Oh,
much
we never
for
seen
joining
it
in the
like
chat.
that. So good.
All right.
Also, I'm 110% positive you have written in this chat before. Unless this is the first time you've written since we became an affiliate, and maybe that counts different.
Probably, yeah. People who are not members of our Discord can't see, but I am currently generating a image for Miss BS and Doctors in the Pod Against the Machine Discord, which is a nice place.
Yeah, I was gonna. If you want to see the end result of that, please join us in the Pod Against the Machine Discord. I don't know how to get you there, but like, I guess follow us on Twitter,
Yeah, hang on.
or
I know
maybe
how to get
Nightbot
there.
has a thing. There we go.
Is it social?
While we
It is.
shill our own
Oh wait,
show.
no, it's not that one.
It looks vaguely female.
That one. There it is.
Good
we
job.
have a humanoid creature, Miss BS and Doctors.
Damn, spoilers.
Yeah, I'm only gonna tease it. Oh no,
That's great. Because I was gonna say that.
Yeah, you're not going to share it outside of the Discord. People have to join to see it.
Exclusive content.
Whoa.
No, you missed the
Whoa.
Halloween costume joke of when I go out hit the city as Miss BS and Doctors. And the entirety of New York is like, wow, what are you? And then
Now,
I
are you
have
going to
another
be that? Oh,
podcast.
no, it just updated again. I was going to say the third one looked like they had their hair tied around their chin, but it just updated again.
Yeah.
We'll do some planning.
I think Miss BS and Doctors is a doctor. Except the second one.
The mystery about
The second one is I don't know what's going on with her. She's like part
That's Picasso's
the
take on it.
question, kind of. It was worth the wait. That was probably like my last free picture.
This is great content for an
I was like,
audio
no,
podcast.
this is all
by the
good.
way.
This is great. They're gonna join the Discord. Don't worry.
Now you have to join the Discord.
Yeah.
Well,
know tongues, bro.
tongues.
Let's go to Donkeys.
I'm gonna go to Donkeys.
Oh, no. I'm not going to let you
Park my
pass
car
with
in the
that one,
yard.
Florida. Park your car in the yard.
Yeah,
You gotta park your car in Harvard Yard.
It's really, if your jaw doesn't hurt, you're not doing it right.
Departed.
It's Marky Mark.